Welcome guys, welcome again to another episode of the WSXM channel. You don't know, my name is Stefan. So, Abraham Traore sat down with a local radio station and people call in and pose questions and the host um, pose the questions to Abraham Traore for the citizens. And they ask a myriad of questions. But they're like an hour and a half long, so I only do the first 25 minutes. But it's very, very important. They ask about assassination attempt, what gonna happen to plotters, like Burkina Faso citizens who plot against their country. Talk about local products and using locally made products and how ministers are working and what are they doing, how they're helping their citizens, and a myriad of questions. But take a listen to this full first 25 minutes, and then you can get an idea of the vision Ibrahim Traore has for Burkina Faso for the next couple of years. Take a listen. Boom. These missions, before we embark on them, I think that there are a certain number of risks that we must measure and agree to assume. And among these risks, there is the chance of not succeeding in the mission for which we came. So when we come, it's either we make it or we break it. Thank goodness we're able to succeed in the mission so that we can therefore imprint our vision of things on our country. After that, the other risk is to abandon everything. We cannot. As a young man, I cannot be at the top of the state and maybe want to find myself under mangroves eating mangoes like the others. That is to say, to accept or to forget our youth, to accept to forget our lives, to forget to devote ourselves entirely to our country. One of the risks is the situation that we are living, destabilization. Because if you want to straighten the boat in our sort of country, inevitably you have to survive. And by surviving to straighten the boat, you create internal and external enemies. So we have to face a situation of destabilization, of murder, and of everything because we have affected the interests of many people. There is social inequality, there is corruption, there is poor management of public health. If we try to straighten all this out, inevitably we will affect the individual interests of some people. And these people are often rich. They have money, they use it to manipulate often poorer people to put them at risk. This is internal, and these same people do not hesitate to cooperate with the imperialist forces who spend their times trying to impoverish us. The other side are these external forces. There are many countries today that we have on our backs. We have no choice. We have to deal with it. If we want our country to be independent, if we want our sovereignty, if we want Burkina Faso to eat at our expense, if we want our children to go to school without paying a penny, if we want tomorrow the malaria, which is one of the most common diseases in Burkina Faso, that we can heal our people, population, in some words at zero pennies. Something that we have, we'll have to make a lot of concessions. We will have to prevent certain powers from pillaging us, and that creates a lot of enemies. So we are prepared for these situations. We leave them as normal. In fact, those it does not frighten us, it does not scare us. It still gives us the courage to move forward because through these events we will know the directive line that we have chosen is the best line for our country, for our people. So we leave it like that. And if the plotters actually spend 2 years raising awareness, talking, putting people on notice, but it was necessary for the Burkinabés to see for themselves how far certain Burkinabé citizens can go against their country. If we had started to serve in a certain way, it is not obvious that you would have seen and understand it. Captain Thomas Sankara was misunderstood at some point. Maybe because they started so strong, but we had to let the people see and understand what these plotters are, communicating and doing with other people. The audience of Barbados would like to know what the fate reserved for those plotters is. Everyone will take responsibility. If someone takes us a step, he assumes all the consequences. We will not advise anyone or put them on guard. Let's go back to the case of Barcelona. And other member would like to know what really happened. Barcelona, what I think happened in Barcelona was personally, I was personally targeted because Barcelona and I have a history.
J'étais personnellement visé parce que Barcelone et moi, il y a une histoire.
Barcelona and the situation of the
Barcelone et la
country have
situation
a
du pays, il y a
history.
une histoire. En juillet 2022,
In
vous pouvez
July
peut-être vous
2022,
renseigner
you may be able to
sur place à
contact
Barcelone.
Barcelona. I
J'ai
challenge a lot of
défié
orders to
beaucoup d'ordres
intervene
pour
so that Barcelona does
interposer pour
not
que
fall.
Barcelone ne tombe pas.
I sacrifice a lot of
J'ai
things
sacrifié beaucoup de choses
to
quand même.
Barcelona.
Barcelone, c'est le lieu
This
pour
is the
moi de
place for
remercier
me to
beaucoup de gens
thank a
qui
lot
nous
of
ont
people who support us in
soutenus
our maneuvering.
dans notre
I think
manœuvre.
they targeted
Je pense
Barcelona
qu'ils ont ciblé
because it was
Barcelone
going
parce
to
que
affect me
ça allait le
personally.
toucher.
That was the
C'était
objective.
l'objectif.
I
Je ne
do
peux
not
pas rentrer
want to
dans
go into
certains
certain
détails,
details.
mais bon,
Maybe
peut-être
one
qu'un jour
day
nous
we
aurons
will have this
l'occasion d'en
opportunity
parler.
to talk about it. What is your reaction to the speech and the political orientation of the fire of Captain Sankara? Is it concern of you, of Ouagadougou?
Oui, c'est vrai. Nous
It
avons
is
d'ailleurs
true.
choisi la date du 2 octobre pour le lancement
We
du
have
programme
chosen the date of
d'engagement
October
patriotique.
2nd for the launch
C'est
of the
justement
Patriotic
pour
Day,
corroborer avec
of patriotic
le
engagement.
DOP. Parce que ce
It
discours,
is
c'est un
precisely
référentiel.
to collaborate
Et je pense que certains pays loin de notre
with the day
sous-région
because this speech
ont
was a reference.
utilisé
I think that some
ce
countries
référentiel
far
pour
from
se
our
développer.
sub-region use this
Et
reference
ils nous le font comprendre parce qu'ils ont
to
accusé beaucoup de
help.
choses de ce
They make us
discours.
understand because they accuse
Et
a lot
cette
of things
actualité,
of this speech.
nous nous en
We were
inspirons
inspired by
et
this
nous adaptons
news
au
and we
contexte
adapt to
aussi.
the
Il y a
context.
certaines choses
There are
qu'on se
some things
propose
in
de
its
l'entrer
time, in
qui ne peuvent
1983,
plus
that
se
cannot
faire
be done
aujourd'hui,
today,
mais nous
but
l'adaptons
we
au
adapt
fur et à
to
mesure.
it step
Thomas
by
Sankara
step.
était trop en avance
Thomas
sur son
Sankara
temps et
was
je
too
pense
much
que
ahead
tout
of
ça,
his
ça fait
time.
que
I think that
il n'a pas
all
été
this
trompé
means that he
et
was not
il voyait des
understood
choses
because he
que
saw
les autres
things that
n'avaient pas la
others did not
possibilité
have
de
the
voir.
opportunity
Sa
to
vision
envision.
était
His vision was
plus en
much more
avance.
ahead. But today
Et
we
aujourd'hui,
realize
on
that
se rend
we should
compte
have,
qu'on aurait dû,
and we should have, every time we
chaque fois,
ask
ce sont des
ourselves these
questions comme ça
questions,
qu'on se pose.
should we not have?
Est-ce qu'on n'aurait pas dû, est-ce que les gens n'auraient pas dû, mais
It
bon,
has
c'est
already
jamais ainsi.
happened, but I
Je
think
pense que
that
c'est
it is
une
a
question
new
d'actualité.
speech. It is the
C'est la même
same version
vision
of
pour
our
une
total,
supériorité
of
totale
our total
de notre
sovereignty
pays.
for our
Et
country.
je pense qu'il faut qu'on
I think
s'inscrive
that
dans
we
cette
should join
lancée.
this. I would like to know what is the moral of the troops with the validity of destabilization. I would
Si
say that the moral of the
notre
troops is at
niveau fixe,
a
parce que
fixed
s'engager
moral, fixed
pour la
level.
patrie,
Because to
sans
engage to
décanter
defend the
les
country, you
valeurs
know that you are a soldier.
il y a
Is
un
another
état
state of
d'esprit
mind.
naturel qui est là au sein du milieu. C'est un
It
état
is naturally in the
de
army.
se
To
lever
get up,
avec son
take your
sac à dos,
backpack,
son arme et
your weapon,
partir.
and go to the
C'est pas
front
donné à tout le
is
monde.
not given to everyone.
Mais généralement, dans la tête du militaire, quand il part, c'est avec
But
fierté
generally,
qu'il part.
in the head of
Et
a
c'est ce
soldier,
qui
when he
doit nous
leaves, it
lever,
is
c'est
with
avec fierté
pride. He
qu'il part.
knows what
Et
can happen,
aujourd'hui, avec ce que
but it is
nous
with
avons
pride
mis en
that he
place, ce que
leaves.
nous essayons de faire comme effort à travers
And
l'accompagnement
today, with what we
des
have put in
militaires,
place, we are trying to make an
soyez vraiment
effort
fiers
through the
d'être
support
militaire.
of the people.
Voilà pour que se donne corps et âme. Et avec
Many
beaucoup
soldiers are really
d'accompagnement de notre peuple
proud
aussi.
to be soldiers, and that is
Avec
why
beaucoup de
they
valeurs
give
en commun.
their
Je
body and
pense que ça ne
soul.
peut que
And
booster
with
le
all
moral.
the support
C'est vrai que
of the
ces
people that
situations
also make it their
de
place, I think that it
déstabilisation
can only boost their
ne les
morale.
affectent pas,
It is true
mais
that the
ça leur donne
situation of
encore plus de courage
destabilization does not
de se
affect them,
battre. Ils
but it
comprennent
gives them
mieux
even more courage to
pourquoi ils doivent
fight.
se battre pour leur
They
patrie.
understand
Ils
better
savent bien
why they have
que
to
ce
fight for
n'est
their
pas pour
country.
rien
They know that
qu'ils
it is
tentent
not for
de
nothing that we are
déstabiliser,
trying to
malgré que
destabilize, that they are trying to
nous avons pu
destabilize
changer la donne
us,
en termes
despite the fact that we
d'équipement
were able
et
to change the
de
situation
formation
in terms of
dans un laps de
equipment,
temps. Si les gens
training.
tentent
If
encore de
people still try to
déstabiliser, ça
destabilize it,
donne plus
gives more arguments to the
de
military
booster leur
to
morale
boost their
de se
morale
battre.
and to
Oui,
fight.
Chantal Nikiman,
The listener Chantal Nikima question
nous
is
appelle de Kaya, dans le
to
centre nord.
Abraham Traore, who is
Il
calling us from
demande,
Kaya
après l'attaque
in
de
the North Center.
Barcelone,
He
l'opinion
asks,
publique
after
se
the attack
demande
of
si des
Barcelona,
sanctions
the public
ont déjà
opinions
été
want
appliquées
if
à
one if
l'encontre
there is
de
any
ceux
sanction
qui
that have
ont
been
complice.
applied to the
Où
meeting of
en est-on
those who are
en termes
responsible,
de justice
and
et de
how are
réparation
we in terms of
pour les
justice and
victimes de cette
reparation for the
tragédie?
victims of this tragedy?
Voilà, c'est la question de monsieur.
Merci.
Okay, thank
Il faut
you.
dire
It
qu'après
must be
toute
said that
attaque
after every
depuis
attack,
qu'on est
since we
là,
have
après
been
chaque
here,
attaque,
after each
nous
attack, we
essayons de
try to
faire une
analyze
analyse de
the
la situation
situation to
pour
understand
comprendre
what
qu'est-ce
worked
qui a
and what
marché
did
et
not
qu'est-ce
work.
qui n'a pas marché. Tant qu'on n'arrive pas à le faire,
As long as we
on ne
can
peut
do it,
pas
we can't improve the
améliorer
situation.
la situation. Donc, naturellement, après
So
l'attaque,
naturally, after the
sur le
attack of
plan militaire,
Barcelona,
il faut
not
analyser
on a
qu'est-ce qui s'est
military level,
passé,
we must
qu'est-ce qui a
analyze what
marché, qu'est-ce qui
happened,
n'a pas marché.
what
Là, nous
worked
sommes
and what did
presque
not work.
au bout donc de cette enquête. Je pense que les autorités
We are
militaires
almost at the end of this
sont allés
investigation.
plusieurs fois à
I think the
Barcelone
military authorities have
enquêter,
been to Barcelona
continuent
several
d'enquêter
times to
aussi à travers
investigate.
Kaya.
We continue to investigate
Les
throughout
responsabilités
Kaya.
seront
The
situées
responsibility
d'ici
will
peu.
be set in a few
J'attends
days.
le résultat.
I am waiting for the result of the report, and the sanction will fall.
Il y a eu des attaques
All the
en
attacks that we
plein
do
Mali,
There have been attacks where we have often brought some people to their knees who have failed in their duties because we don't have a choice as long as we are committed and we feel that the failure comes from the device, we have to get rid of it. So we are waiting for the final report to act. Regarding the victims, it is natural we have adopted laws so that the children of those who have lost their lives in this war, we recover them as treasure of the treasury of the nation, and those who have fallen, we take them as martyrs. The government is permanently on the side of the population to be able to take charge on the psychological side, on the humanitarian side, health, and everything else. All the members of the families who have been affected by this tragedy. This is Mr. Thomas Camfather from Zahara. In relation to the local consumer, he asks, what are the strategies for an indigenous development based on made products? And then Mr. Kim from Karazhan asks, you have governmental terms who are currently meeting the usual leaders. What are your expectations?
D'accord, merci beaucoup.
Thank you for those questions. Thank you very much. I see that the concept of local consumer has been launched. It is very
C'est nous qui
important
avons
to
quoi faire
us.
si vous remarquez d'abord sur le plan
If
vestimentaire.
you notice, first of
Les
all,
premiers
in
actes
terms
que
of
nous avons eu à
investment,
poser, on
the
a
first
fait
steps we took
l'analyse
were
d'un
to
certain nombre
is
de
an
facteurs. D'abord, il
analysis
faut
of a certain
promouvoir
number of
ce
factors.
que nos
First of all, we
artisans
have to promote
sont
what
en train de
our
mettre en
artists are
œuvre,
putting into
c'est-à-dire
practice.
le faso d'Anfani, le coco d'Onda. C'est ce qui nous a
That is
amené à un moment
faster
donné
than
de
funny.
réfléchir sur la question, par exemple, des touches,
This led us
des
to
ensembles
reflect on the
qui
issue
étaient
of
importés
towels,
chèrement.
of
Et donc,
teachers'
on a
towels which
instruit le
were
ministre de
imported,
changer,
teachers' uniform which
par
was
exemple, les
very
touches.
important.
Aujourd'hui,
Expensively, we
c'est
instructed
fait
the
en façon
minister to
d'Anfani.
change the uniforms.
C'est les
Today,
dames
it
qui
is
le
done
font,
in.
mais il y a beaucoup de dames qui ont rejoint donc l'atelier.
The
Et
ladies who
c'était
do
une
it
grosse
are
main d'œuvre
many
qu'on
ladies
a
on
employée.
the workshop, and it is a
Également,
great
l'instruction a été
achievement
donnée
for
à
the
ceux de la justice de changer
employees.
leur touche
Also, the
pour
instruction was to
pouvoir
given to
s'adapter
the
donc
Ministry of Justice to
à
change the
notre façon
uniforms to
d'Anfani
be
et
able to
beaucoup
adapt
d'autres
to
couches sociales. Même dans
our
l'armée,
time and many
je ne
other
sais pas
social
si vous avez bien
classes,
suivi
even in the
l'actualité du
army.
ministre au Conseil des ministres.
I think that if you
C'est
have
pas
followed
forcément
the
vraiment
minister
fait.
outfit, it
Donc il
is
y a
in
beaucoup de
Burkina
choses
Faso.
qu'on
But
essaie
that's funny.
de faire
There were many
promouvoir
things that we try to
ce qui est
promote
fait
locally and in many
et dans
areas, especially
plusieurs
in
autres domaines,
transformed
surtout dans les produits transformés.
products.
Donc
Currently, we
actuellement,
are
nous
in the
sommes dans
dynamic of
une
promoting everything
dynamique
that can be
de
transformed
promouvoir
out of raw
tout ce qui
materials,
arrive à transformer nos matières premières, c'est-à-dire les produits
that
alimentaires,
is food
pour
products,
que ce
so
soit
that they
consommé
can be
par les
consumed by
Burkinabés.
Burkina Faso
Ce qui nous amène
citizens,
d'ailleurs à prendre un
which led us
décret
to take a
dernièrement
decree
pour
to institute the fact that
instituer
if
le
someone
fait
wants
que
to import a product, no
quelqu'un
matter
peut
the product,
importer un produit
as
que
long as they are
conformer tant
Burkina
qu'il est le
Faso
Burkinabé qui le fabrique,
things that manufacture,
il est
it must
obligé
first be
d'abord
taken
de le prendre
into Burkina Faso.
au
And when
Burkina
it's not
et
enough,
lorsque
you
maintenant
can
ça ne
take it.
suffit pas, il peut aller prendre à l'extérieur. Donc c'est un acte
It is a
fort qu'on
strong
a
act that
posé
we
pour
have
pouvoir
taken to be able to
encourager
encourage what
ces
is
produits
produced locally
localement et
to be
que ce soit
consumed by
consommé par
Burkina
les
Faso.
Burkinabés. Donc sur ce volet, je pense que nous sommes
I
dans
think we're in
une
a good
bonne
dynamic.
dynamique. On
We
va
cannot reveal the
donner une
entire
stratégie à
strategy
venir
because,
parce que
as I
comme je
said,
l'ai dit,
those who are
pour
used
ceux
to
qui ont l'habitude
importing do not
d'importer,
necessarily
ça ne les plaît pas
like to
forcément
apply what we want.
d'appliquer ce que nous voulons.
But if we
Donc,
want to
si
be
nous voulons
Burkina
être
Faso, we
Burkinabé,
have
on est
to take
obligé de prendre des
measures.
mesures.
It will
Ça
not
va pas plaire
please
à tout le
others,
monde, ça va
but it
plaire
will
vraiment.
please a lot of
Et je
people.
pense que c'est ça qui
I
est
think
le
that is
plus
the most
important.
important thing.
Monsieur Karim Zango
I
voudrait
would like, Mr.
savoir
Karim would
vos
like to know
attentes
what are your
concernant vos
expectations
équipes
concerning your government
préparatoires
terms
qui
that
sont
are
sur
on the
le
ground.
terrain.
Yes,
Donc,
these
ce
are
sont
outings
des
that we were planning a
stratégies
little
qu'on a
while
mis
ago. It
quand
is
même
like
un
the
peu de
first
temps.
outings
C'est
that
comme les
coincide
premières
with the
sorties
events of
qui ont coïncidé avec les événements
Barcelona.
de
We
Barcelone.
have planned several outings.
On
We
avait
have
proclamé plusieurs
when the
sorties.
event arrived, we told
Donc,
people to
quand
go and make
l'événement est
the
arrivé,
time, make the
on avait quand
program.
même
During
dit
this
aux
period,
gens
we
de
stopped the
partir
Council of
pour
Ministers
faire
for
leur
a
travail.
while.
Donc, pendant cette période, on arrête le conseil des
We want
ministres
the ministers to
pendant
go
une
to the
semaine.
populations to
On veut que les ministres aillent auprès des
acquire
populations,
realities, to see the realities of the
s'enquérir des
people,
réalités,
and to come
voir
back.
les réalités de visu et revenir parce qu'un
And
ministre,
minister is at the
s'il
level
prend
of
de la
of
décision,
decision. If
et
you are
si vous
just in
êtes
a Ouagadougou and
juste à
you
Ouagadougou
cannot
et que vous
understand the
n'arrivez
deep
pas
aspiration of the
à
people,
comprendre les
it is
aspirations de votre
complicated.
peuple, c'est compliqué. Donc, c'est un
So this
programme
program will
sincèrement
not be the
très, très
first
sincère
time,
dans
it will
lequel
not be the
ils sont
last.
allés vers les populations dans toutes les régions pour s'enquérir
They
des vraies
went to the
réalités,
population in
comprendre les
all
difficultés.
regions to
Et
acquire
je pense que chaque
realities,
ministre donc,
to
va
understand
réaménager
the
son programme
areas,
en
the
fonction des
realities,
besoins réels de nos populations.
the
C'est le
difficulties. And
même
I think that
état
each
d'esprit
minister
que
will
nous avons dans
rearrange
l'État des
its
chefs
program
coutumiers.
according to the
Parce que nous
real
voulons
needs
les
of our
remettre dans leur rôle.
population. It is the same state of mind that led us to go to the leaders because we want to put them back in their roles. Their role is to maintain social cohesion, unity, peace, and they have to assert themselves. They have to help us educate the youths. These are the messages that we have brought to this place. Whatever we say, they are actors, they are key actors in our society, and we want to put them back in their roles as they can help Burkina Faso to return to its ancestral values, which are values of peace, unity, and
Monsieur le
cohesion.
Président,
Mr. President,
l'actualité
the
et
new
la
security
sécurité
and
au
defense
Burkina
are
Faso
closely linked.
intimement liées. En attendant de
As we gather the
conclure
concerns of the
l'intervention des
listeners,
auditeurs,
2 years
il
ago,
y a
under
maintenant deux
your
ans que, sur votre
impulses, Burkina
impulsion,
Faso
Burkina
engaged
Faso
in
a
a
engagé
total
une
war
guerre
against terrorist armed
contre les
groups.
groupes armés
Today,
terroristes.
what is your
Aujourd'hui,
assessment of
quel
the
bilan
reconquest
faites-vous
of the
de la
national
reconquête du territoire
territory?
national?
Merci. Nous ne cesserons de
Thank
parler
you.
de
We will stop talking
la
about the
situation
situation on the
de
ground
terrain
because
parce
it
que
is the
c'est
essence of
l'essentiel
our fight.
de notre combat. Et comme vous avez pu le constater, je pense que
As you can see,
dès
I
qu'on
think
va
that as soon
commencer,
as we
parce
started
que
our actions, there
il
was
y a eu
another
un autre
face of
visage du
terrorism that
terrorisme
Burkina Faso
que
has
les Burkinabés
discovered.
ont découvert. Voilà, donc ça nous
So it has
interpelle
challenged us a lot.
ce n'est pas
And
juste
that is not just
terrorisme.
terrorism. I think that the
Je
objective of
pense
these
que
people is
l'objectif
even greater than
de
that.
ces gens est encore plus grand que ça. La dernière fois, je
The
parlais
last
des
time I
guerres de
spoke about
quatre
the
générations.
fourth generation war,
Voilà,
they
ils
manipulated
ont
a lot of
manipulé
people to
beaucoup de
put
gens
them against
pour
their
les
brothers
mettre
and
contre
sisters.
leurs frères.
Today, you
Aujourd'hui,
can look at the
quand vous
terrorist group
regardez,
and at us,
quand
and they are
chez
young
les
people who
terroristes
are
de chez nous,
dying.
ce sont des jeunes qui meurent. Et donc, il faut
So we have to
freiner ça,
stop
il
it.
faut
We
arrêter
have to
ça
stop it
vite.
quickly.
Et pour le faire, il fallait s'armer de courage,
To do
se
it, we have to
former,
arm ourselves with courage
recruter, parce que
and train ourselves
l'effectif,
to recruit
l'équipement,
because the staff,
rien
the
n'était à la
equipment,
hauteur pour
nothing was
pouvoir
up
faire
to the
face.
task to be able to face it.
Et je me souviens que les terroristes avaient dit
I remember that
le
the
31
terrorists said that
décembre
on December
2022,
31st,
ils allaient fêter la
2022,
fin d'année à Ouagadougou. Et
they were
après
going to
que
celebrate
l'invasion
the
sera
end of the year
déclarée faite, qu'est-ce qui allait
in
les arrêter?
Ouagadougou.
Je me
And then when we
rappelle,
did the analysis, we
avec
realized
les
that they
bombes
could do
qu'ils
it.
avaient, les secours de bombes et tout,
What or who
s'ils
was going to stop them?
s'activaient un
Then I
jour, le
don't
20
see with
décembre comme ça,
with the
ils pouvaient
number that
fêter à
they had,
Ouagadougou, rien
the
ne pouvait
dormant
les
cells.
arrêter.
If they
Comment est-ce
activated
que la
on
face avait
December
encore
20th,
ces mêmes puissances
they
qui les
could
appuyaient
celebrate in Ouagadougou.
pour
Nothing could
venir
stop them
s'interposer et nous mettre encore
unless
en
we call on the
esclavage?
same powers that
Et donc,
created
quand
them
on a pris
to
nos
intervene in
responsabilités,
and
que je l'ai
enslave
vite
us.
dit, qu'on a
So
commencé
when
à
we took our
recruter, pas sur le
responsibilities,
volet militaire,
we saw
mais
that
aussi sur
very
le
quickly
volet
that we
pédagogique,
started to
pour essayer de
recruit both in
contenir
the
la
military
menace.
sector and also at the level
Aujourd'hui,
of the
l'armée
VDP to
est
try to contain the threat.
beaucoup plus
Today,
équipée
the
que
army
par
is
le
much more
passé,
equipped
mais
than
nous
it has
disons que
ever
ça, ce
been.
n'est rien.
But
L'équipement
we
va
say that
venir
this is nothing. The
10 fois,
equipment will come
beaucoup
10
fois plus
times,
performant
many
que ce
times
qu'il y avait
more
avant.
over if
Nous allons
efficient
continuer à
than we
recruter
have.
pour avoir
We
une
will
armée
continue to
forte.
recruit to have a
Parce que
strong army because
l'indépendance, la souveraineté, comme dit,
independence,
vous l'avez dit, est une valeur
sovereignty,
forte
as long as
que
you
vous ne
don't have a
pouvez
strong
pas
army,
désassumer.
you cannot
Donc
assume
ça
it.
va continuer dans ce
So it
sens.
will
Et nous
continue in this
continuerons
sense
à
and
faire
we will
face à la
continue to
menace
face
ainsi.
the threat. So guys, that's like partway through the interview. That's like half of it, but I won't do the next account. It's a very long interview, but this part is very important because this is what I thought you guys would need to see and hear for yourself. We talk about he's the head of state. He don't have time to sit down and relax. He have if he want the country to run a certain way, he have to do it himself, along with his men who are putting the country above self, and that's what patriotism is. And he also talk about assassination attempts on his life, where they try to attack Barcelona because that's like one of his closest place to his heart, and that's why where people help him the most, where who he got the most backing. Then he talk about his ministers, how he don't let them sit in the office. This is key. He don't allow his ministers to sit in offices. They have to go in rural areas around the country, speak to local citizens to see what their needs are, and then they work towards that. That's what a president does. Then he touch on the local produce. He makes sure that he ban the export of any grains or food products leaving the country. It have to be used in Burkina Faso, and if they have surplus, then it can be exported, and no importing of overseas products as well. So this is what a president does. The man is on a trajectory of changing the lives and minds of his people by making them independent and making them have love for country and love of self. It is very important. Love of self. And the Burkina citizens are backing him 100% in almost everything he does. He just launched a new program to build 50,000 homes for Burkina citizens, like building urban areas, which he bring in heavy equipment for that, and and he started a company for that, and he's making infrastructure even on a grander scale. So this man is doing. Oh, and he also just opened the hospital, one of the best equipped hospital right now in West Africa. So he's doing major upgrades to the country and to his citizens' lives, and this is why his citizens demand he stay in power and there's no elections. No matter what the outsiders are saying, because he do not take no money from the World Bank, IMF, he don't take aid from no other country to help except China, Russia. China and Russia. Well, he doesn't really aid because he's paying them for the whatever he's taking from them. There's no he don't take handout. And that's why he's feared, and that's why they have so many assassination attempts on his life, because he's feared for showing other African leaders what a leader should be and exposing them to show them the puppets they are, and by accepting colonizers' money and the you know the whole works already, puppets of the continent. Anyway, so let me know what you think about this. What about all you have heard? Let me know about it in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Boom.